If I were to tell you about a zero-drop, wide toe box trail running shoe, you would likely think about two specific brands. Well, today we're going to take a look at the brand Flux.
This is what makes time travel possible. The flux capacitor.
And their Adapt Trail Runners with some really cool technology built inside at a very reasonable price. So let's take a look. Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. My name is Steven. I do want to let you know first that Flux did send the Adapt Trail Runners to me to review and test. They're not going to see this footage ahead of time, and they are not going to tell me what to say. I will give you my completely honest opinion, like always. First, let's start with the stats of the Flux Adapt Trail Runners. They are a neutral trail running shoe, and there is actually quite a bit of flexibility in these shoes. Now, these are a zero-drop shoe with a stack height of 29 millimeters or 32.5 millimeters with the removable insole. As for the weight of the Flux Adapt Trail Runner, they weigh in at 11.9 ounces or 339 grams. Now, to be fair, I did not weigh these straight out of the box, brand new, so they had a little bit of dirt on them, but I did my absolute best to clean them. I scrubbed them as best I could. For the sizing, my men's size 11 seems to fit me just perfectly, and I should also note that Flux also mentions on the website that the Adapt Trail Runner is machine washable, which is kind of cool, but I think like most trail running shoes, a good creek wash is going to be fine. The upper of the Flux Adapt Trail Runner is a synthetic knit material with some TPU overlays to offer a little bit of structure to that upper as well as increase the durability. Now, the upper is a mono-piece upper. It's actually one entire piece, including the tongue. It is attached to that upper. The upper does feel incredibly comfortable when wearing it throughout my testing, and it does seem like it's going to be quite durable. Several times when running, I had some pretty sharp sticks poke directly into that upper, and as I could tell, there's no scratches, no rips, no tears in this upper. I think it's going to wear pretty well. As for the breathability of this upper, take a look at the tissue test. You can see with the hairdryer on low, the tissue actually came up a fair amount, showing it's pretty breathable. But when I switched that hairdryer to high, I mean, the tissue just about came out of the shoe. It blew up very, very quickly. And when running, I can definitely tell this does feel to be a pretty breathable shoe. And, my foot felt the airflow, the coolness coming through in the cold Colorado mornings, but it was fine with a good pair of socks. The toe box is foot-shaped, as you can see, which is very similar to those other brands out there, and it feels incredibly nice to run in. Your toes are going to have plenty of room to kind of splay out inside and not be crammed in there. There is also a little bit of more of a solid overlay on the medial side of the toe box here, and a pretty good bumper in the front as well to help protect your toes from any impacts of rocks. The midfoot feels pretty darn nice as well for my kind of average to narrow size foot, and I think it could actually accommodate a bit wider foot than what I have as well. And so far I have had no hot spots, blisters, any kind of discomfort in the midfoot or the toe box for that matter in the Flux Adapt. It's felt great. The heel collar is very nice and comfortable, and it has what Flux calls their Adapt Knit collar, and it's basically kind of think of it like a built-in gaiter and helps keep some of that debris out of the shoe. And I can say when running on the dry, dusty, rocky trails here in Colorado when there wasn't snow, it did work. It seemed to keep probably 95 to 99% of those rocks out of the shoe, which was pretty nice. And inside of that heel collar, there's also a really nice bumper that goes all the way around, a padded bumper. Feels great, kind of helps you get a really good lockdown in the heel. And I had no discomfort from my Achilles, other than the zero drop platform, of course, had to get used to that, but no discomfort from the shoe itself. It felt great. And as for the tongue, like I mentioned, it is part of that mono piece upper. So the tighter you tie those laces, the more there might be some overlap of that material. I have a more narrow foot, like I mentioned, and so there was a bit of overlap in that material, but it was not uncomfortable. There's really no padding in this tongue either. It's a good material, but there's no padding, and I didn't have any discomfort across the top of my foot either. It felt great. The lacing system itself is kind of difficult to tie these eyelets through this very hard piece of TPU plastic here. They're kind of tight, so tying it was a little difficult to get those laces nice and snug, but once you do, they don't really loosen. However, I will say I did have the left shoe come untied once on one of my runs, but other than that, it's been pretty good. Overall, I have been very happy with the upper of the Flux Adapt Trail Runner. I think it's going to be very durable as well. The midsole of the Flux Adapt Trail Runners is their Adapt Foam, which is a Phylon material. Basically, that's an EVA, and you may recognize that name, Phylon, because a lot of Nike shoes use that midsole foam as well. It feels great underfoot, offers plenty of protection and comfort when running over rocky terrain. The midsole is zero drop, like I mentioned earlier, but it also is a nice level of protection and comfort across that entire footbed from heel to the forefoot over rocky, technical terrain, roots, stairs, all of that. It feels pretty darn nice. Probably one of the coolest features of this shoe, though, is the EarthLink technology. This innovative feature electrically grounds your body to the terrain, offering kind of an unparalleled sensation of going barefoot without sacrificing that comfort and protection that your foot needs. It should be noted, though, that these are not certified as safety footwear, so don't think that electrical grounding is going to keep you safe from any kind of electrical shock. When you combine that EarthLink technology with the removable AdaptSol insole, it's a pretty awesome experience underfoot. The AdaptSol insole has over 100 nodes that kind of massage your foot as you walk in them, as you run, and it really feels unique. I've never felt anything like it in any of the hundreds of pairs of shoes I have tested, but I will say it does feel incredibly nice, and I have really liked the feel of this. Now, I'm a skeptic. I've always kind of been that way, and I didn't know what to think of this EarthLink technology, if it was going to work, this whole grounding principle. I mean, there's so many things out there nowadays that ground, sheets, socks, pillows. There's so many different things out there, and I didn't know what to think. But I got to say, just walking around in them, just going to the store, it feels great. I feel relaxed. I feel maybe a little less stressed. And I have also been serving on a criminal jury trial. And after the first day, I decided to wear the Flux Adapt to see if that EarthLink technology might help me be a little bit more relaxed or less stressed, anxious maybe, because it's there's some difficult subject matter in this case. And I got to say, I did feel a noticeable difference in my, I guess, my anxiety level. And the biggest, kind of wow thing for me was the traffic. I do horrible in traffic when driving. I just get so frustrated, agitated, angry. And on the way home from court, I was going 10 miles an hour for probably a good 20 minutes in traffic, and I felt fine. I was very relaxed. I was calm, which is very unusual for me. So I got to say, I think I'm sold on the EarthLink technology, that grounding. I don't know, I think it works. Overall, the midsole of the Adapt Trail Runner has been very comfortable and really nice to run in and stable, and I would feel very confident wearing these up to a 50-kilometer trail race, probably even a 50-mile race. Well, the outsole of the Flux Adapt Trail Runner features what Flux calls their Trinity Tread. It is a rubber material, and as you can see, there are a lot of nodes or lugs underneath of this shoe. I have worn these on dry, dusty, and rocky trails. I've also worn them on ice and lots of snow, and throughout all of those situations, they performed really, really well. I was actually pretty surprised by the level of grip that these offered. I've even worn these with micro spikes when there was a ton of ice, and they felt comfortable. The micro spikes fit just fine over top of them. And then I also wore them going up the Manitou Incline again when I probably should have put the micro spikes on, but I did not. And surprisingly, these gripped great. I had to be a little cautious in foot placement, but over the ice, they were pretty darn good. And even coming down Bar Trail, they felt really nice in the snow with a little bit of ice as well. I was surprised. I will say too, even in muddy terrain, they felt really, really nice. As that snow started to melt, the kind of clay trails here in Colorado turned to a little bit of mud, and I didn't notice any clumping of that mud underneath of the foot. It just seemed to work pretty darn well. Now, I couldn't find anything about the depth of the lugs on the shoe here, but in my educated opinion, after testing lots and lots of shoes, I would say these are probably about 4 millimeters in depth, maybe 4.5 millimeters in depth, and they work really, really well. Well, the Flux Adapt Trail Runner retails for $149.99. That is US dollars. However, as of the time of filming this video, they are on a massive sale for $89.99. And at that price, I would strongly recommend you pick up a couple pairs. Even at that $150 price, though, I feel that is very reasonable for what you get with the shoe. The bottom line of the Flux Adapt Trail Runner is they are surprising, and that is a good thing. I didn't know what to think from a relatively new brand in the trail running space, but Flux delivered with the Adapt Trail Runner. The upper is very comfortable on the foot. The EarthLink technology with that combined AdaptSol insole just feels like a very unique, great experience running, and that Trinity Tread has been nothing short of great. It has been awesome on all the terrain here in Colorado. Plus, I gotta say, I think they look pretty darn nice. I actually have, like I said, I wore these to court several days, even with my nicer khaki colored pants and like my gray pants, and they didn't look too terribly out of place. It looked pretty good. Well, if you can't tell, I highly recommend giving the Flux Adapt Trail Runner a shot. Go buy a pair, especially at that $89 price. I mean, that is a steal. Try them out. I think you're going to like them. Well, have you tried the Flux Adapt Trail Runners or maybe some of the other Flux shoes out there? Let us know below in the comments. I really would like to know your thoughts, what you've thought of the longevity, the durability of the shoe. Let us know below. I would appreciate it. Well, thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Hope this was helpful. If so, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. It really does help out a lot, and I would greatly appreciate that too. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one.